Now looking at a developing story with Renita Young, senior markets correspondent for the network. So Renita, we are revisiting all things LUNR. I'm refusing to call it its actual company name because I like the ticker so much. But so this device, you send this thing to the moon, you spend millions and millions, more money than I can comprehend, and it falls over.
Listen, I knew there was more to the story because when Odysseus landed last week, there were some communications issues, right? And so we learned today that apparently the CEO says that the rocker might have caught a foot on the moon's surface, which caused it to possibly snap a leg, and it leaned over on a rock. Other renditions of this say that some of its landing equipment might have gotten caught and it caused it to tip over. But either way, as a result, there are communication issues because it caused some of the antennas to be pointed in the wrong direction. And the company does believe that Odysseus is positioned still a few miles away from its target also as a result. But Intuitive Machines says that Odysseus still has several other operational capabilities. They're still able to accomplish some of the goals that they set out to accomplish. And the lander actually beamed home some new photos from the surface, its very first photos from the surface over the weekend. Now we know, of course, this was the first U.S. lunar landing since 1972, since the Apollo era, but unfortunately shares taking a huge dive today on news that Odysseus has tipped over.
So really, like, the selling is just because, like, there's the lack of faith and it's like basically full capabilities, correct? Because it's still functional. It's not fully functional, but it's still functional. So right now, like, if it's not as bad as, like, perhaps what the headlines make you think, why are shares down 30? I guess I'm asking the million-dollar question. Why are shares down 35%? It's still operational. So that's, like, really the key takeaway, correct?
They're down because the same reason that they were up really high last week. Honestly, I think that just in general, people get excited about space things because one of the things that we can't touch yet, right, easily. So I think it's just the excitement that was poured into this ahead of this landing has now gotten some of the air out of the tires of it, and people are just, you know, going in the opposite direction because of it.
You're right, and I think that anytime you see shares surge as much as we saw last week, I think that you run the risk of seeing what we're seeing today. And not saying that's necessarily always going to happen, right, but it just doesn't feel like it's specifically tied to the thing falling over. I appreciate the pictures, though, because I also am a huge fan of the moon travel.
See?
So I appreciate.
Me too, by the way.
Yeah, I can at least respect that we have some great footage, but we will leave it there. Great breakdown on all things LUNR, continuing to make our coverage as it has been all over the place.